The story starts in a classroom where a boy named Pakgo went live on his mobile and introduced himself and his classmates to his new Tube subscribers. He said hi to everyone, and that's there with 700,000 new Tube subscribers. His subscribers were also commenting on his blog, and Chang asked in the comment section if he was at school. Hyung asked, but he was streaming today and told his subscribers he would introduce his classmate and beauty YouTuber Rumi in today's lunchtime live stream. Rumi came in front of the camera and said that she was starting. She thanked everyone for watching them. However, people were commenting and asking Pakgo about Rumi. Hyung asked about her and wondered why Pakgo was promoting her. Another asked if he was doing a collaboration video today, and another subscriber told him by commenting that Pakgo had mentioned it yesterday. Rumi said she would do her best and requested the viewers to be nice to her. The viewers commented that it was now worth watching and knew the camera angle would pay off. Hyung said to eliminate the speech bubbles, and Go commented that they were not there originally. Pakgo asked Rumi to tell everyone what kind of videos she made. Rumi said that she made videos about makeup for teens. The boy whose makeup was done by Rumi thought everyone and their mother thought they were a new tuber. Pakgo asked if she said she had a makeup model for them. Rumi replied that she worked hard on his makeup. She pointed towards someone and said here he was. By looking at the makeup of that boy, everyone was making fun of him in the comment section. The boy thought that it was not comforting. Hyung asked if that was the ghost kid from The Grudge. Another laughed and asked Rumi if she was not supposed to be a beauty YouTuber. Pakgo laughed, and Rumi made a sign of victory by reading comments. However, the boy thought that if they were going to use him, the least they could do was give him a money cut. The name of that boy was Haben. Pakgo asked him to say hi to their viewers. He also warned him that he should smile at them, too. Pakgo told his subscribers and viewers that if they hit the like and subscribe button, he would give a computer to one lucky subscriber. Park commented and asked Pakgo to stop showing his back to the camera. Haben thought that Pakgo was a hypocrite and was making up all of that. Pakgo again called Haben and asked him to say hi to their viewers. Haben looked at the camera and smiled in front of the camera. After that, Haben entered a boys' restroom and went to the washroom. He opened the tab and looked at himself in the mirror. He said that it was not budging. Haben said he did not want to go to school anymore and asked himself why he had to live like that. Haben splashed water onto his face and said that everyone had something they were good at and everyone apart from himself had something to do. He said Pakgo had 700,000 subscribers. His grades were not good, but he had enough talent to make good money. Haben added that the new tuber Rumi could rely on her looks to make a living. However, he was the only one without talent because his grades were not good, and he had no money. Haben said that he had got nothing. He said he should never have realized this because it made him feel pathetic. After cleaning his face, Haben entered a classroom and thought he had finally gotten it all off. He felt he could not believe she put it on the back of his neck, too. As soon as he entered the classroom, someone kicked him up. The boy, named as Snapper, kicked Haben, and he fell. The Snapper asked him if he did not tell him not to look miserable on camera and why he was trying to ruin the livestream. He was continuously abusing Haben and said that he pissed him off and asked if he was a joke to him. Haben looked at him and thought Pakgo ruled over their class, and Snapper was his cameraman and right-hand man. Moreover, Snapper was part of a group that bullied other kids at school. Haben tried to defend himself and requested him to stop kicking him. Haben glared at Snapper and thought he could not fight, but he was still part of the in-crowd. Snapper laughed and asked Pakgo if he had seen how Haben was looking at him then. He laughed so hard and stated funnily that he almost wet his pants because he was so scared by Haben's look. Everyone was laughing in the class. Pakgo asked if Haben had done something and said that Haben had been pushing it in those days. Snapper replied that he was going to do it. However, Haben thinks about the Snapper and his status by offering to be a Pakgo cameraman, and he is a social climber who gets what he wants. Moreover, his power comes from Pakgo backing him, but he acts like he is a big deal. Hobbit thought that Snapper kicked the hell out of him and humiliated him before he could say anything back, and that was what school life was like. He added that violence was not the only form of abuse. After a while, when Pakgo rubbed his foot, Rumi hacked him excitedly and told him she earned more than 300,000 won from what they had just done. Pakgo laughed and asked if he had not told her earlier that she was hot enough to get older men to cough up. Haben was shocked to hear that Rumi had won that much in just a short period. He thought that they did not even do anything. However, the Pakgo asked her if he did not get anything in return. Rumi put his hand on Pakgo's shoulder and said he would get something. He told him that it was something he could look forward to. On the other hand, Haben and Snapper were thinking of becoming new tuber to earn money. When Snapper said he wanted to be a new tuber, Haben looked at him and thought he could become a new tuber only in his dreams. Snapper nodded and said that after all that time behind the camera, it was about time he started his channel. Even though he thought the same thing now, Haben thought everyone and their mother wanted to be a new tuber. Snapper stood up and asked Pakgo what he needed to do to start a new tube channel. Pakgo replied that if he wanted to make money, the new tube did not pay minors, and he needed to register using his folks' new tube account and bank details. Snapper stated that he could not use his parents' accounts because they had caught him using them to run scams. Moreover, his gran had already kicked the bucket. Suddenly, he looked at Haben and asked him if his mother had dropped dead yet or if she was still around because he said that she was sick. Snapper looked at him, thought he could use his mother's account, and asked Haben to let him do it. Pakgo laughed at his question and told the Snapper that he had taken it too far and should apologize because it was harsh. Snapper asked him how it was harsh. Rumi also laughed and said that Snapper was crazy because he asked him whether his mom had dropped dead yet. Pakgo replied that he could not say it like that and should ask if she was alive or if his mother was alive. Rumi added that he should apologize. Snapper thanked Pakgo and said he could not say he was the only piece of trash there because everyone who laughed just now should apologize too. However, after hearing that, Haben thought that he should have punched him right then and there. He should have at least put him below himself in the pecking order at the very least. Haben apologized to his mother because he could not hit Snapper, who said that about his mother like that. After all that, Haben went to the hospital to see his mom, who was lying on the bed and sleeping. Haben's mom smiled and told her son she was well enough to go home and was sick of lying in that bed. Haben thought that his mother was a liar because he knew her condition would only get worse if she left the hospital. He told his mother he was holding the fort at home, so she should focus on improving. His mother said she could not help but worry about that month's utility bills. Haben asked her to leave that to him and advised her not to worry. His mother said it would be difficult to earn so much money alone and asked him what had happened to his face. She asked him if he got into a fight. Haben looked shocked for a while, and then he smiled. He asked his mother what she was talking about and said he would not get beat up. Haben thought that he was also a liar. He came to the receptionist, passed her the bill, and said 300,000 won. The receptionist asked Haben if he wanted a receipt and apologized because he had to work so hard to pay the fee every time. Haben said that it was all right and thought that some people earn that much doing a short live stream over lunchtime, and for himself, it was 1 week's worth of pay at his part-time job because he had to work in a shop for a whole week to earn that money. After that, Haben went to his part-time job and wondered why there were so many customers today. One of them asked him how much longer the bacon tomato deluxe would take. Another asked when the burger for Chicken 851 was going to be ready. Haben apologized and told the customer they would get more patties because they ran out. However, the bacons were sizzling in the pan. Haben thought that his electricity bill was 170601. The gas bill was 204801. The water bill was 113201. The residence tax was 6001. The rent was 250,000, and his loan interest was 80,001. Haben thought that including a monthly hospital bill of 3,001 and a medicine fee of 15,001 would be 1.18 million won in total. He wondered how he was going to get through yet another month. He slammed the counter and thought that he earned 5,001 working a whole shift after school, and he could not believe Rumi earned 3,001 for that little video. He said that he felt like it was all society's fault somehow, and his life was a living hell. Suddenly, a girl appeared there and asked Haben where the patties were. Haben looked at her and said he had taken back what he had said and was happy to see her. Her name was Bomi Choi. Haben told her the patties were in the freezer, so she had to look quite hard for them. Another said he knew where they were and asked if she wanted him to accompany her. Haben said he would get them for him, and Bomi said it was okay. He thought he finally managed to speak to Bomi, as she was the hottest girl in their store. Haben thought that even just looking at her made him happy. Rumi was smiling and asked the customer if she could take his order. Suddenly, Pakgo entered the shop and started his live streaming by holding his selfie stick. When he began his video, Chang commented that it was a late-night stream. However, Hyung asked what he was up to today. Pakgo smiled, thought for a while, and told his viewers he was at McDonald's. Gut commented that Pakgo had a cute smile, and Min added that it looked like a live stream surprise. Haben looked at them, thought Pakgo was there with Snapper, and wondered if they had come to do a mukbang video. Snapper was filming Pakgo when someone picked up his phone and told him he was a fan. He asked Pakgo what he was filming. Pakgo introduced himself and said that he was doing a challenge today. Haben hid himself inside the counter and thought about what kind of challenge he was doing. He felt that he could not let him know that he worked there. However, Pakgo pointed towards Bomi and said that today's mission was the hottie at McDonald's. He said he followed the rumors, got a tip-off from his viewers, and ended up there. He said hi to Bomi and commented that she was gorgeous. Pakgo turned the camera towards her, and H1 commented that her face looked plastic. Haben looked at him and thought about what he wanted with Bomi. Pakgo showed Bomi the picture of a super-duper Whopper and said she had to give him her number if he could not get a burger that looked exactly like that picture in 30 seconds. He added that the Whopper needed to be grilled. Snapper told Pakgo that he could not see anything except his back. Haben was shocked at his demand. Pakgo apologized to her and said he did not want to do it, but his subscribers insisted. Pakgo thought nobody had given him any information, but he had just come to get her number because she was hot. He further thought there was no way she could make that Whopper in 30 seconds because there were over 10 ingredients. Pakgo told Bomi that if she gave him her number, he would wrap up that video quickly and get her a coffee. Meanwhile, Haben thought he did not even have Bomi's number, and that the new tubers were smart. Another chef came to Haben and asked him what they would do now. Pakgo thought he could do whatever he liked with girls like that and pretended it was all to create content. Suddenly, Haben presented that Whopper in front of Pakgo and said it was ready. He added that he even put a flag on it like the photo and put an extra patty on the house. Pakgo and Snapper were both shocked to see Haben there. Haben told him many customers were in line behind him and requested that he step aside. After saying that, Haben returned to his way and thought he looked fabulous. However, people were making fun of Pakgo for his challenge. Oh, I commented on whether he made it in 30 seconds. However, other chefs appreciated Haben for making that burger in such a short time. They laughed and said it looked like Pakgo had a trick up his sleeve. Haben thought he would get beat at school again and wondered why he did that. He felt it was not like she would even acknowledge him for it in his house. After that, Haben went back to his home and made noodles. Bubbles were forming in noodles. By making noodles, Haben thought that the Snapper would probably throw another fit tomorrow, and he should have punched him earlier. He said he could not believe he let a bad guy like him say that. While making noodles, Haben spat into the bowl. However, Snapper was also working on his PC at Haben's house. He thanked someone for the 30,000 won and asked if he would give him 300,000 won if he got 30 kills. Haben thought that Snapper wanted to stream from his house from now on, so if he had his way, he would beat him half to death. However, Snapper was doing his computer work and said he would do his best because he had 1 kill already. Haben looked at him and thought he should have just given up if he could not make an account as a minor. He wondered why he had to open a bank account and start a new tube channel using his mom's details. Haben apologized to his mother and thought a lousy guy was making money using his credentials. He thought Snapper would get 300,000 won from one viewer if he got 30 kills, and it must be nice to earn that easily. Snapper kept killing and counting it, and on the other hand, Haben spat into the bowl. He thought Snapper had a lot of viewers because Pakgo promoted him, and it might be the case that he would give him a cut of the money since it was his mother's account. Haben thought he was even cooking ramen noodles for him, and maybe he should ask him first. He said he even put some extra seasoning in for him after all. While walking, Haben's foot got stuck in a wire and fell. On the other hand, Snapper was happy and thought he had almost done 30 kills and 300,000 won. Suddenly, the system shut down, and Snapper turned around to see what had happened. When Snapper turned around, Haben fell on him with the noodles bowl. Haben fell and apologized to his mother because he spilt the kimchi she had worked hard to make on the floor. He also apologized to Snapper and said that it was an accident. Snapper kicked him and asked what he would do about his 300,000 won. Haben said it was an accident, and Snapper asked him to give him the money he won. He beat Haben again and said he could not pay him because he was broken. Haben wondered why he was getting beat up in his own house. Snapper abused him and said that it was no wonder that his mother got cancer. Haben became furious and punched him with his entire force. He thought it was the first time he had punched someone, and the first time he got punched by the person he punched. He said fighting someone was not as big a deal as he had thought. They both kept fighting for a while, and it turned darker. Haben was sitting in his room and thought it did not hurt when they were fighting, but he felt sore now that it was over. He said it might be expected. He looked at the room and scattered things. Haben said when he was going to finish cleaning all of that up. He thought he could not afford to throw food away like that and wondered if he was worrying about money again. He said he was the only one who constantly had to think about money because every other kid got an allowance and went to cram school to get good grades. He said that he wished he had been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Haben flipped out and thought that he did not care anymore and would not clean it up because, at that moment, he felt even more pathetic. He turned off the button and said he had to consider the electricity bill. Haben was still sleeping. The day dawned and birds were chirping. Suddenly his mobile phone rang, and he thought about who was calling him that early. He picked up the phone and felt that he could not think of anyone who would call. He was shocked when he heard the loud voice of a Snapper on the phone. Snapper asked him if he was out of his mind and asked him to delete that video. He again asked Haben where his house was and said every home in that neighborhood looked the same. He said he sure took his time to answer the phone and again asked Haben to delete the YouTube video from last night. Haben got up and asked the Snapper what he meant by a YouTube video. He told him the stream had ended the previous day because he had tripped over the cable. Haben glanced at the cable and thought that the cable he tripped over last night was not the cable for the mainframe. It was the monitor cable. Snapper started sobbing and told him their fight was still recorded by that camera hanging over there. He said that the monitor was off, but it was still streaming live. He told Haben that he could not even delete it because it was on his mom's account, so he asked him to tell him the password. Haben asked what he was talking about and said he had never uploaded any videos. He added that he turned off the power strip to save electricity, so the computer should have shut down too. Snapper sobbed and asked him why he turned it off. He stated that if the computer shuts down during a live stream, it automatically uploads the video online. Haben dropped the call and tapped on the YouTube icon. He thought there was no way that failsafe existed, and there was no way that the video could have been uploaded just because the live stream had been turned off. Haben looked at his mobile and saw that it was there, and their fight was uploaded. He said there were more than 10,000 comments, and all sorts of people posted comments. He thought there were comments in English and Japanese, and the post went viral in under a day. Haben sat down, sighed, and thought he had gone from average to world-famous loser. He looked at his phone and thought that the first thing was first. He had got to delete it before it got any worse. However, it was probably too late. Someone said that one should look at how many views they get in a day, and how many views on YouTube equals money. Haben thought about it when he received a message that he got 1 win per view. It was about 1 won per view, and if he monetized his channel, it was about 1 won per view. Haben thought about what they were talking about and wondered if he was supposed to be earning. He started counting his views and thought they said it was about 1 won per view. Then, if he multiplied the views by 1, the number of views was how much he would earn. He said the number of views was 10,275,921. However, 5 students watched their fight on YouTube and commented on it. One laughed and told others that Haben was using kimchi as a weapon. Another asked sarcastically if he was trying to be a kimchi master. The third one said that one was fighting with kimchi, and the other was fighting with a pot of ramen. The fourth one laughed and stated that it was a fight between 2 alphas and they must be proud of themselves. The student holding the mobile phone also laughed and said it was embarrassing for their school and country because it went viral worldwide. One of them asked how they could come to school after that. Another said that he would drop out if he were them. They all were laughing and making fun of them. At the same time, the door slid and Snapper entered the classroom. The students watching the video of their fight saw Snapper and called him a YouTube star. Snapper looked at them and thought those students had already seen it, and now he was a loser just because of one video. He felt that he put in so much effort buttering Paco to be part of the in crowd, so he could not let himself become a loser like that. Snapper thought that he would kick out a random nerd and make them remember who he was. Snapper came to a student who wore glasses and watched the video of his fight on his mobile phone. He smacked his head, and in return, he punched Snapper angrily. The student with glasses sat on him and started beating him. Snapper thought it hurt, and he was so heavy that he could not move because he was way heavier than himself. He looked at Paco and thought that as the student beat him up, Paco would help him. On the contrary, Paco laughed hard at seeing him being beaten up. The paper became shocked to see him laughing and said that from his experience climbing the social ladder, he could tell he had lost everything he worked so hard for. He had had his wings ripped off. The student with glasses punched him again and said that he was already dead. On the other side, inside the hospital building, Haben was shocked to see his mother's bill and said his mom's bill for that week was 1.2 million won. The receptionist responded that she was afraid and asked him if he would be all right. She looked at Haben and thought it looked like he did not even go to school today because he was so worried about his mom, and from what she knew, his dad was not around. However, his financial situation was likely terrible because he was the only breadwinner, which almost made her want to pay for him. Haben asked her if she had said that it was 1.2 million won. The receptionist replied that, of course, it was 1.2 million won. Haben smiled, showed her money and told her he could pay it. The receptionist held the money in her hand and looked confused. However, Haben thought that he would have about 7.8 million won after that, and he was not worried about the hospital fee because he would soon be getting 10 million won. He thought the video he accidentally uploaded reached 11 million views, and getting paid per view was like a dream. Haben said that there was no wonder that he was not embarrassed that so many people had seen the video. He said it was because he was already a loser and had nothing to lose. Haben was laughing and watching the views on their video when someone punched him. Haben looked at him and thought that he was a person with a lot to lose. This was Snapper saying to Haben that at least he made some money. He started sobbing and told Haben that he had just become a loser. The Snapper grabbed him from his collar and asked him to give him half of the money because he was in the video, too. He told Haben that he used his likeness. Haben also looked at him and thought he had become a social outcast. Haben also kicked him back, and they started fighting again. Haben felt that he already fought him once, so he was no longer scared of him. While fighting with each other, Snapper said that they were below the belt. Haben asked why he should split the money he earned. Snapper responded because he started the stream. Haben said, but it was his mom's account. Snapper told him that his reputation at school had been ruined because of him. Haben added that was not his problem. After some time, they both were sitting outside the hospital on a bench. Snapper was sobbing and sniffling. Haben put his head on his shoulder and asked him if he was okay. He said it did not matter if he pretended it hurt. He added that he was still not going to give him squat. He smiled and told Snapper that his social climbing days were over. Suddenly, Snapper showed him the video of the fight they had just had and asked him if he were sure he would not pay him. Haben looked at that video and thought that it was the fight they just had. Snapper told him he could shoot quality videos like that even when he did it on the sly. Haben became furious, grabbed his collar, and asked if he would upload another one. Snapper smiled and asked him if he was an idiot and who would watch that if they uploaded it. He told Haben that they would only get people saying they did it on purpose. Snapper added that he asked him what he thought of the angle, and that he was not asking him to fight with him at that time. He said he wanted them to join forces and asked him if he did not like money. The next day, in school, Paco was making a live stream, and he stated that he was surprised to see that his classmates were the two guys in that recent video that went viral. Paco pointed towards them, and SAE asked in the comment section if everyone in that class was a pro YouTuber. Another asked Paco to make them fight again. Haben hoped it would not be the case, but did not know he would put them on his live stream. However, Paco asks his viewers if they want him to make them fight again, and tells them he cannot do that because they are friends. Haben thought it was a complete lie that they were friends, and Snapper thought Paco was trying to use them as fodder for views now that they were trending. Paco glared at them and asked them to say hi to his viewers. They both smiled and said that they were the loser duo. Haben looked at the camera and thought that his life was so pitiful. Snapper whispered and asked him when he was going to do it. Haben asked him to relax and said he knew what he was doing. Paco requested his viewers to like and subscribe because he would be raffling off a top-of-the-line computer. Suddenly, Haben interrupted and said that it was all a lie. He pointed towards Paco and noted he was pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. He said there was no raffle or winner, and it was all fake. Haben shouted and stated that what he said about giving away a computer was a lie, and that he was selfish. Before reaching school, Snapper and Haben discussed teaming up some time ago. Snapper asked Haben if he wanted to earn money. Haben looked at him and wondered if he wanted them to team up to make money. He asked what kind of thought he was suddenly coming out with. Snapper extended his hand towards him and said that they should join forces. Snapper told him he would help him make a fortune, and Haben thought he could make more money. The Snapper asked if he did not know they would go viral again if they got their next video. He added that he was the one behind Paco's video, so he should be grateful that he was offering his help. He asked him if he still had not gotten paid, if he knew how complicated the process was, and if he had to get evaluated first. Haben wondered about whether he had to get evaluated to get paid. Snapper asked him if he could develop new content by himself, and he thought the same kind of content that landed on his lap would work again. He asked Haben who would film him, who would work off ideas, and what he would do about the editing and directing. Snapper asked if he felt that Paco had 700,000 subscribers because he was talented. He added that all that was thanks to his planning and camera work. He told Haben that he would be his new tube director, and that all he had to do was perform. Snapper asked him to trust him and said he would lead the way and they would get rich together. Haben heard his strategy and thought about money. Snapper looked at him and thought that the idiot fell for it, and that he could climb the ranks if he used his channel correctly. Haben asked him how they would split the money. Snapper thought he would become a top new tubers director, stop being labeled a loser, and be in the in crowd again. Snapper replied that he would do all the work, but still make it 90% for himself and 10% for himself because they were friends. Snapper thought that Haben would be the one in front of the camera and he would be his meal ticket. Haben disagreed with him and abused him. He asked why he would agree to only 10% when he was in front of the camera and what he meant by friends. Snapper was shocked at his questions and thought it was not how it was supposed to go, and he could not just say no. Haben turned towards his way and said that he was better off cooking burgers. Snapper asked him to stop and listen to him. He looked at Haben and thought he had to partner with him. If he disagreed, he would have disagreed, being a loser. Snapper responded that he got it, which he would take 40%, and Haben would take 60% if it sounded good. On the contrary, Haben did not stop, and Snapper asked him about 30, 70 and 20, 80. Snapper thought that he had to choose between staying a loser or rising from the ashes as a top YouTuber's director, and the only path he had left was to take 10%. He asked Haben about a 10-90 split of money. Haben stopped, turned back, and asked what he would have to do. Haben said that he wanted to hear his great idea. Snapper got annoyed at him and thought that he misunderstood him and that he was just a dumbass. He told Haben that the type of content they would create was videos where they call out bullies. Haben said he would call out Pakgo and wondered if he was scared because Pakgo had always kicked him out of school. He said he should bring it on if he could get paid for getting beat up. Now, inside the school building, Haben was doing what he told Snapper that he would do. He told Pakgo's viewers that he pretended to be nice in front of the camera, but was bullied when the camera was off. Pakgo looked at him, and Haben took off his shirt and told the viewers that Pakgo had made all those bruises. He asked them to go to his new tube channel for details. Snapper looked at Haben when someone asked if he was not scared about what Pakgo would do to him afterwards. Snapper thought that he was doing great, and Haben gave quite a good performance, and the two of them would make Pakgo's subscribers come to their channel. He looked at Haben and thought that he must be desperate for money. Snapper told Haben he was smashing that and asked him to look at Pakgo's panicked face. Suddenly, Pakgo laughed, asked Haben what he was doing, and told him that he stopped the streaming. He showed him his phone and said he had stopped the streaming because his battery had died. Snapper was shocked to see that the live stream was off. Pakgo slapped Haben and asked him if he planned to do something nasty. Pakgo again hit him and asked if he was trying to expose him so he could get revenge for everything he had done to him before. Haben was being punched by Pakgo and looked at Snapper. Snapper thought he should not look at him like that because he was getting it all on camera. Snapper saw the comments on the fight and felt that it was terrific because Haben was getting new subscribers. Young asked in the comments section if that was really Pakgo. T asked why Pakgo was acting like that. Kim commented that he never thought that Pakgo would be like that. Another asked if he was faking it on the camera. Snapper looked at Pakgo and wondered if he thought they were stupid enough to call him out during his broadcast. He felt that he already started broadcasting on their channel earlier, and the stream's title was Pakgo. The new tuber with 700,000 subscribers was a trash bully. Snapper asked Haben not to worry about the camera operator because the show's star should focus on performing for the camera, so he should get handed to him so they could make some money. Haben looked at Snapper and wondered if he would get rich from getting beta like that. He thought he needed to make a lot of dough, and he was sick of making pocket change and the necessary channel to get famous so he could make big bucks. He stated that losers got beat up constantly, which would not entertain viewers because videos on YouTube needed to be provocative to be interesting and popular. What would make for exciting content was if a loser picked a fight with a bully. Everyone was shocked to see Haben standing before Pakgo to fight with him. Pakgo looked at him and asked him if he would have a go. Haben ground his teeth angrily and told Pakgo that he had disrespected his mother. Everyone was shocked to see Haben and whispered that he was out of his mind. Snapper looked at him and wondered what he was doing. He thought Haben had been better off just getting a beat down, and he could not believe he straight up picked a fight with him. However, viewers were also surprised to see that a weak boy was picking up a fight against the vast Pakgo. Someone asked in the comments section if he was trying to start a fight to earn some cash. Hyung replied that he would need it to pay for his hospital belts, and Jang said he would share that link. Snapper thought that there was no choice but to fight him now, plus he did not know Haben was scared at all. He wondered that he had no idea that Haben was that ballsy. However, Haben wondered why everyone was not holding him back. He thought they should not just watch and stop the fight. He looked at them and thought he could not take back what he said when that many people watched. He looked at Pakgo and gulped. He said Pakgo was scary and wanted to beg for mercy. Haben stated that Pakgo's neck was thick, like a tree trunk, and his muscles and tattoos were terrifying. He looked at his hand and said that his hands were enormous. He wondered how his forearm veins popped. Haben thought he would be like a puny shrimp if he compared himself with that man. He asked why his fists and legs were shaking. From what he had seen in Hollywood movies, he thought, characters usually took their opponents down using tackles, or maybe he should apologize. Pakgo looked at his face and said that it was no wonder his mother got cancer. Suddenly, Haben moved forward and grabbed Pakgo's leg to make him fall. He squeezed his leg, and everyone was shocked to see Haben using that technique. Moreover, everyone was laughing in the comments section to see him doing that. Snapper was shocked to see Haben doing that and thought he was too small to pull that off. Snapper thought that Haben was 5'5" and weighed around 110 pounds. He wondered what he was thinking trying to tackle someone over 6 feet tall who weighed 180 pounds. Paco saw Haben trembling and said he had guts and would give him that. He asked Haben if it hurt if he charged into him all of a sudden and if his mom was in the hospital. Paco gripped him from his waist and lifted him on his shoulder. He slammed Haben to the ground and told him that he would make them put him in the bed right next to hers. Haben fell and his classmates laughed. Someone was saying that it was so loud. Another said that size was significant in a fight, and he could not get up. However, Snapper closed his eyes and thought that it must have hurt. Moreover, the viewers asked in the comments section if he got the idea from a webtoon, and others said he must have copied it from somewhere. Haben was lying on the ground and was coughing. He thought he had no idea that size was that important in a fight. He thought his fight with Snapper was child's play and a real fight. Haben further thought that it was how it ended, and he could not even do anything. It was a complete waste. Paco looked at him, asked if he thought it was over, and told him it was just the beginning. He sat on Haben and said that he would punch him again. Haben thought that he considered it was over. Paco was about to punch him and said he was not done yet. Haben got scared when someone interrupted. A boy with black clothes said that he was trying to get some sleep. Paco turned around, abused him, and said that he should sleep at home. The boy with black clothes lifted his face and asked Paco if he had abused him. Paco was scared to see him and said he did not mean it. After seeing Paco being scared, everyone in the comments section was asking about the guy with black clothes. Someone asked if he was an athlete. Ding replied to others in the comments section that he was Korea's rising MMA star, Monseong Kim, an incredible rookie. People commented that he was the top dog in that class and looked firm. Another said he could not believe an older man was using that font. Haben looked at Monseong Kim and thought both might be alpha males but were not on the same level. Kim was the alpha who ate other alphas for breakfast. Monseong warned Paco to watch his words and replied that he would not do that again. Haben looked at Paco's frightened face and thought that he had no choice but to back down from someone stronger than him. Haben thought that Monseong changed the whole vibe of the room with just a few words. He said he wondered what it felt like to be someone like that, and he was jealous of the fact that he would never have crappy thoughts like that, at least. However, Monseong again put his head down on the desk and said he would sleep. After watching all that, Choi commented that Paco was not even able to do anything, and another said that Monseong had incredible charisma. Snapper looked at Monseong Kim and thought he had got it all, but he was also good at fighting, and he heard he got private lessons from a world-class MMA fighter. Snapper saw that Paco was telling his friends to go for a smoke and wondered if Paco was running scared. After that, Snapper looked at Haben and thought he was still awesome. He lifted his phone and thought that although Haben got beat up badly, he might have failed at fighting, but he picked up some fans commenting for him. Min commented that the boy had got balls. Another said that he got goosebumps and had great respect for him. Blue Boy said he was a loser, too, and was impressed, so he subscribed to his channel. The day turned dark, and Paco reached home and charged his phone. He thought he could finally charge his phone and not use his power bank because he had left it at home. He looked at his phone and said he would die from boredom. He was lucky that his battery died while he was streaming. Paco thought that he almost got called out by Haben and wondered how he did think of doing something like that. Paco was shocked to see that his phone was continuously ringing. He asked why he was getting voicemails when he turned his phone back on and so many people were trying to contact him. He was shocked to see 300 messages on his phone. He thought about what the people were talking about and got called out. Suddenly, he saw a video on his mobile phone and was shocked to see that. On the other side, Haben was taking a shower at home. He said he was a loser and did not know why. It was just the label they gave him, but he feels pretty awesome now. He looked at himself in the mirror and smiled. Haben said he was feeling great because he gave Paco a taste of his medicine. Because Paco was trending from number 1 to 10. Haben thought that while Paco's phone was off, they live streamed a video calling him out on YouTube. Haben said he did not know it would get big enough to trend online. He asked himself what would happen if Paco sued him for that. He felt that in that case, he would sue him back for beating him up. and the video was evidence. He looked at his phone and said that people were linking it on various community sites, and the post with the link was shared everywhere, so his channel blew up. Haben was sitting at the computer and was happy to see increased views and subscribers. He said that the universe was guiding people from every online community to his channel, and it was just the beginning of Pakgo's downfall. He said it was the beginning of his new tube career, as Snapper told him that the main content of their videos would be fighting. The previous day, Snapper and Haben were sitting on the stairs, and Snapper told him that they had a big problem. Haben asked what the problem was. Snapper said to him that the problem was the length of the video. He explained that he earned money through ads, not the number of views he got on YouTube. He told him that people mistakenly thought he got paid per view, but the money came from ads, so they needed to put ads on appropriate videos to make a lot of money. However, he could not stay in a fight for more than 1 minute, and he needed to be able to stay in the ring for at least 3 minutes. Snapper told him that if he could not figure out how to make that happen, their new tube channel would fail, so he had to stay in the fight for at least 3 minutes. At night, Haben looked at the computer and thought Snapper was right. Their videos were supposed to be about fighting, but people would lose interest if he could not stay in a fight for 3 minutes. He wondered if he should go to a local gym and said he doubted going to the gym for a short amount of time would make much difference. He tapped on the computer to learn how to get good at fighting. He thought the internet knew, and he would have a look just in case. When he got the answer online, he felt he needed it to learn how to fight correctly. After that, he typed something on the new tube and thought that maybe new tube had the answer and would learn best if he had what to do. He typed Taekwondo on the new tube and looked at the screen. He was disappointed to see that. Haben creaked his chair and thought there were many results, but none would work in a real fight, or they were impossible to follow for a beginner like him. Moreover, real life was not a martial arts movie. He thought about what he had to search for to find what he needed, since he would have to learn how to fight independently and teach himself how to fight. He again tapped on the keyboard and thought of trying to search for it and teach himself how to fight. Suddenly, he made a typing mistake and said he would type it again. He found a channel with that mistakenly typed word with 0 subscribers. Haben wondered who was going to see a channel that had a typo for a name, and if he was the first person to discover it, or if someone probably made that as a mistake, so he doubted there were any videos. He opened that channel and saw a lot of videos, and someone put a lot of effort into uploading those videos. He said the channel creator was nuts, and wondered why he uploaded that many when nobody was watching it. Haben clicked on the video and said if those videos were about learning how to fight. He saw that there was a chicken-like man in that video. Haben was shocked to see that and said he had no idea that a foreigner making this old channel he accidentally found would change his life. The chicken head man introduced himself as Samdak and noted that the technique they would learn today was how to get hit painlessly. Samdak, the chicken head man, asked his viewers if they wanted to win a fight or if they wanted to avoid getting beaten up in front of other people and protect themselves if someone started a fight with them. The chicken head man said that before they go into fighting techniques, they should revisit the mindset he had taught them. He said that one's mindset when fighting should be never to lose his cool. Haben was surprised to hear that and said that lesson 1 was he should not lose his cool. Sandak said that he should always bear that in mind if he wanted to use the fighting techniques he would be teaching him. If he could not keep himself checked, his emotions would take over. So, he would not be able to think straight while he was fighting. In other words, if his opponents could lose their cool, they would become easier to beat. Haben was shocked to hear all that. Samdak said the first technique he would teach him was how to get hit so it did not hurt. He said something, and Haben was surprised to see that. Haben slid his body and thought it was not worth watching because if that strategy worked, anyone could do it. Haben was disappointed and got up from the chair. Haben said he should have known that he should go to work. However, Samdak explained the tactic and said it was how he got hit without getting hurt. Samdak said that until next time, he should keep teaching himself how to fight. It was the scene of a market, where people were standing outside of a mall and murmuring. A group of 3 girls became happy to see Pakgo there. Pakgo smiled to see them, asked if they wanted to be in his video, and told them he was interviewing hotties. One of them asked if he was the YouTuber who had been cancelled. They laughed, and Pakgo got annoyed. After realizing his call-out video was trending online, Pakgo got cancelled because he started a live stream. It seemed he won back public sentiments because people commented in his favor. T commented that he was pulling for Pakgo, and Park said they should give him another chance. Choi added that Pakgo seemed sorry, so they should forgive him. However, his apology video was fake, and he got caught on camera. Pakgo was unaware that it was still on, and that he was being recorded when his cameraman told him they seemed to have lapped it up. Pakgo called his viewers dumb and said it was hard to pander to them. On the contrary, people abused and bashed him in the comments section for his fake apology. Besides the fake laptop raffle that Haben exposed, people started digging up other things he faked. Chun told others in the comment section that he asked him to show him the receipt, but he said he could not. He stated that he checked with the department store, and they said he refunded everything, and every single email address picked was Pakgo's. Choi said that Pakgo set up raffles and made himself the winner. Someone even created a site that tracked how many followers he lost in real time, so people got excited watching the numbers drop as if they were counting down to a big event. Min commented that he lost 1 subscriber every second, and Hwang asked if it was already down to 500,000. He hit the street to win back viewers, but people could not take him seriously, and he became a joke because he was no longer the rising star he was before. People were making fun of him in the comment section and telling him he looked pathetic while roaming the street for views. Ki asked what he called someone whose pants were on fire, while Pakgo was imploding instead. Haben, a new tuber, was on the right, because people were questioning and asking one another who called Pakgo out. Ki said that Haben was every loser's hero and the king of losers. Another commented that he was going to follow that legend from today. However, Haben changed the name of his channel to a viral hit, and everyone was looking forward to his videos, and there was no going back now. So Haben decided to quit his job and reach the cafe. Haben told the manager that he was quitting his job. The manager was shocked and looked at him. Robin stated that he could no longer pay for his mom's hospital fees with the pay from his part-time job and needed to earn more. He asked the manager to transfer his wages and work hours that day. The murmuring started during the staff selection. A girl told her colleague that the kid was quitting his job. She told another girl that the guy who was a demon at flipping burgers was quitting the job. She asked the other girl if she knew Haben Yu. After hearing the name of Haben, Bomi became attentive and looked at them. The other girl told the first one that she knew him and said he was the YouTuber. The first girl said that Haben was the guy who called Pakgo out and laughed. She stated that she just saw him tell the manager he was quitting. The other girl told him she watched him live stream with his shirt off. The second girl laughed hard and said she also watched it, and he was as thin as a rake. On the other hand, people looking at Haben whispered and wondered how he could leave his house when everyone knew what he had done. Another said it was pretty low to make money by calling out other people, no matter how desperate he was. Another told everyone that he had checked out his channel and looked desperate for more views. Haben thought he expected this reaction and even mentally prepared himself for it. One of the people asked if he wanted the whole world to know that he was a loser or something. Haben thought her date was still humiliating, and he wondered if Bomi had seen his videos, too. One of the male workers asked his colleague to quiet down and said that Haben might call them out, too. The other person laughed and said that it was hilarious. Haben thought about the Bomi and said that he came in before she started her shift on purpose and would get out of there before she got there. When Haben was busy with his thoughts, the manager looked at him and asked if he thought he was too good for that kind of work now that he was famous. The manager told him he was desperate for attention and must be nice to be popular. Haben said he might start a new YouTube channel, looked at the manager, and got scared. Haben thought that they had no idea what he was going through. Suddenly, Bomi appeared and told Haben she thought it was pretty cool. She told Haben that she did not know Pakgo was like that, and she only found out what he was really like thanks to his video, so she appreciated it. She took out his mobile and asked Haben if she could get his number because she had wanted to keep in touch since he was quitting. The manager became sad to see that, and Haben was shocked when Bomi said she would message him. The next day, inside the classroom, Haben was chatting with Bomi on his mobile. He was tapping on his phone and thought he was so stoked that he was texting Bomi. He asked her many questions and thought he heard girls like it when someone asked them many questions. He laughed and thought he remembered how all the guys looked when she asked for his number. But he could not believe he was texting Bomi right now because she was McDonald's hottie. Haben chatted with Bomi and hoped she was not trying to catfish him. He said that he would just let her con him. Snapper looked at Haben and asked what he was doing because he looked like a dumb boy. Snapper told him he was looking up ideas for their next video, and he had a weird expression just now. He asked him how it felt to have 100,000 new subscribers. Haben was shocked to hear that when Snapper told him that he was probably the first ordinary person to get 100,000 subscribers with just 2 videos, and it was hard even for celebrities to do. Moreover, he asked Haben if he had thought about how he would stay in a fight for 3 minutes because he said he was thinking of hitting the gym, so what he would take up than boxing or jiu-jitsu. Haben looked at him and thought he could not tell him the truth. He told him that he needed to think about it some more. Snapper jerked back and got annoyed at him. He slammed the table and told Haben that he would strike while the iron was hot, and he mentioned that he wanted to earn money. Snapper asked him if it was because he was not saying what fame could do for him and if he did not know how amazing it is to be famous. Haben smiled and asked him how it could be amazing to be famous. Suddenly, beauty YouTuber Rumi interrupted and asked Haben to shoot a collab together. Haben was over the moon at Rumi's offer and told Snapper that he saw how amazing it is to be a famous person, and he felt it now. Haben asked Rumi why she wanted to do it because she already had a lot of subscribers. Rumi made a pout of her face and replied that her subscribers asked her to collaborate with them and requested them to shoot a collaboration video. Haben said that she was used to buttering Pakgo. Rumi told them that she cut her losses with Pakgo immediately after the viral call-out video and did not like him that much either. She approached Haben, rubbed his ear, and asked him if he would do it. Haben was mesmerized and asked Snapper if they should do the collab. Snapper asked Rumi if she knew other female YouTubers and asked her to bring a girl so that he could join the video. Suddenly, the door opened with a loud voice and Pakgo entered. He became furious to see the 3 of them and abused them. All 3 of them got scared to see Pakgo when he asked them if the 3 of them were buttering one another after completely screwing him over. Pakgo said they needed to know what they did to his new tube channel. Haben got scared and thought he was in deep trouble because Pakgo had lost his cool. He looked at Pakgo's face and thought the chicken headman stated that nobody was there to beat other than an opponent who had lost his cool. Pakgo became furious and started abusing Haben. However, Haben thought that if that guy was telling the truth, and he did manage to get him to lose his cool completely. The chicken headman stated that if he could not keep himself in check, his emotions would take over, so he would be unable to think straight while fighting. Meanwhile, Pakgo tried to punch Haben, and everyone was shocked to see him angry. Pakgo became furious and asked him if he just swerved, and Haben thought he had not. Pakgo asked him what he would do about his 700,000 subscribers and YouTube channel. Haben observed Pakgo and wondered if that boy were telling the truth because the situation was playing out just like that chicken head said it would. Haben looked at him and wondered if that guy was giving legit tips, and if that was a video that could teach him how to fight. However, Pakgo became furious and tried to punch him, and Haben thought that he would come again. Since he would get hit anyway, he would try. After all, he had nothing to lose. Suddenly, Haben shouted, and Pakgo froze there. He looked at Pakgo and wondered why he suddenly stopped. Meanwhile, Snapper interrupted them with his camera and told Pakgo that he could count on him, which looked good on camera. Pakgo twitched and abused the Snapper when he told him his camera would always be faster than his fists. He laughed while holding his camera and told Pakgo that if he uploaded this, he was done, and if he did not mind becoming a total outcast, he might continue the fight. Snapper added that he would be doing them a favor because they would hit 200,000 subscribers, thanks to him. Pakgo became furious and asked them to wait. He questioned them if they thought he would sit back and take that, but rather, he would make all of them pay. 3 of them got scared, and Rumi told him he was not part of that. After a while, Pakgo left the classroom, and Haben wondered if he was leaving. When Pakgo left the classroom, Snapper thudded down and said that he almost crapped his pants. Snapper looked at Haben and asked if he was right because he just saved him from a beating. He pointed towards the camera and said that this equipment was expensive and that he would expense it. Snapper again called Haben, but he was busy thinking about the chicken head man and his videos. The next day, Haben was waiting for the Snapper and thinking about why he was so late. Now that he had quit his job, they planned to meet about future videos. He thought it was pretty difficult because their channel was about fighting, and they could not just keep calling out Pakgo, or maybe he should create fake content too. Haben thought he did not want to make money by conning other people, and for now, he would text Bomi. Haben took out his mobile and started chatting with Bomi. He laughed and thought that it had been 3 days since they started taxing, and he was happy just being able to message her. Bomi texted Haben that she did not like texting that much and preferred listening to someone's voice. Haben looked at her messages, asked if she wanted him to stop texting her, and told her he would stop. Bomi replied that she did not mean it, and Haben thought it was how it ended, and he was grateful for that. At least she nicely rejected him. Suddenly, Bomi texted him that she wanted to call him, and Haben was shocked at her text. He said there was no time to lose and would call her immediately. At the same time, a couple passed by him, and they got excited to see Haben. The boy said that he was right, and it was that guy with the viral hits channel, and the young lady stated that he was right. She asked Haben if he was a viral hit and told him she was a huge fan. Haben replied that he was the viral hit and thought it was terrible timing. The man came close to Haben and asked him if he lived around there, and the girl commented that he looked better in real life. Haben told them that he was waiting for a friend and thanked them. Haben became happy to see them and thought people recognized him on the street. The boy asked Haben if he had gotten paid yet and said he must have made a lot of money. He replied that he did not receive money and thought that even scary-looking people like that were treating him like a friend, which is how it felt to go viral. Suddenly, the scary-looking boy sat down and started to rummage Haben and told him that if he reported it to the police, he was dead. Haben said he would not report and thought he was expecting it wrong. When the scary-looking boy was rummaging Haben, the girl asked him to look in his socks and underwear too and said that it was where people usually hide things because there was nothing in his boxers. Haben looked at them and thought they were sharp, but he guessed that fame did not protect someone from getting robbed. The robber said that he should have known from the crappy shoes he had on that he was not lying about not getting paid yet. The girl wondered how he did not have even a penny on him. Haben became sad and thought that it was depressing, and that maybe he had got nothing worth stealing from him because he was poor. Suddenly, Snapper appeared there and asked them what they were doing. He dashed towards them and asked them to hold it right there and said that they were from Bangchan High School and they were both dead now. The girl asked the scary-looking boy if he knew Snapper. The boy replied that he did not know him and had never heard of him. Haben became happy to see Snapper and thought he had incredible energy and an intimidating aura. Haben had tears and said that Snapper had come there to save him. Haben thought it was what he expected from their class hotshot, but could not fight because he twitched his foot and fell. The boy said it was pathetic when the girl told him the Snapper wore expensive shoes. The boy asked Haben to give him his phone for a second, and Haben thought he was locked into his precious new tube account on this phone. The boy showed them his mobile and said that he was taking it because he did not want him to call the police. Haben was shocked when the boy said they better work hard on their channel. That way, he would make a lot of money, and he could rob him again. Haben requested that he not take his mobile and return it to him. He thought he couldn't take that phone because it was priceless and had Bomi's phone number, so he needed to test it. Haben called the Snapper an idiot and asked the robber to take his phone instead because he had the latest flagship. Snapper looked at home and told him that he could hear him. Haben became anxious and shook Snapper by holding his shoulders. He said that they should call the police and that he needed to get his phone back. Snapper asked him if he was kidding and wanted to call the police. Snapper showed him his mobile and asked if he did not see his subscribers going wild. He told Haben that he started filming when they dragged him away and asked him to say hi to his viewers. People were commenting in the comment section and asking about the matter. Lee asked if the bullies who tried to take his lunch money still existed, and T asked how he had to be so poor to have nothing worth stealing. Back appreciated Haben and commented that it made him more likable. Haben looked at him and wondered if he was filming the whole time. Snapper came close to Haben and whispered that those two were infamous around those parts, and it was a good chance to make money. However, he was unaware that they were still going live, and people commented that they were hearing him. Chang commented that all they thought about was money. Snapper became happy and asked Haben if he did not think they would get tons of views if they went after them and confronted them. Haben looked at him and thought that he wanted him to get beaten up again. On the contrary, people also encouraged him to go after the robber, and Snapper asked him what kind of new tube he would be if he disappointed his subscribers. Haben thought for a while and said that he would do that. Snapper looked at Haben when he started a new video by welcoming his viewers to another episode of a viral hit. After some time, they reached a club by following the robber and asked him to return his mobile. He became angry and asked him if he wanted his phone. However, people were bashing the robber in the comment section, where Sung said that his face was like every bully he ever had to deal with, and Choi commented that he should give him his phone back. The robber abused Snapper when he saw him filming them and said that he must be out of his mind to be filming them. His girlfriend told the robber they kept filming them and asked him what he would do now. The robber replied that he was not scared of them, and Sung told Snapper in the comments section that he had just gotten permission to film them. Chalk added that they could not sue him since this said he could film them. The robber's girlfriend asked him why he kept speaking into the mic. Haben looked at the robber and observed that he was holding the mic with his right hand, and he was right-handed. He called the chicken head tips when he asked in his video if he had checked which hand his opponent favors and stated that they would most likely swing at him with their dominant hand unless his opponent were a professional fighter. The chicken headman asked if they should use their right hand and stated that if his opponent was right-handed, they made it easier to use that hand to face his opponent and stand to his left. The robber stood up and asked Haben what he would do and if he wanted to fight him. Haben recalled the tips of the chicken headman that if he wanted to force them to use their right hand, if something was also next to them on their left, they were going to use their right hand. Even if he could not dodge the punch, he could still defend himself, and people who had not had any martial arts training swing their fists back really far. Haben looked at the scary-looking boy and thought that since he would get hit anyway, he might as well give it a shot. The robber was all set to punch him, and Haben was observing him closely and thought about how to get hit so it did not hurt. He followed the tips of that chicken headman when he swung his fist to go for a punch, and it released the most power when he made contact with his opponent. In other words, he wanted to get hit before the punch reached full force, and this is what he called it. It would hurt less if he faced it with one tactic. Snapper and that girl were shocked to see Haben's move when he put his head before the robber's punch because the chicken head man asked him to think of it like he was punching the opponent with his head. Snapper looked at Haben and wondered what had happened to him and why he had moved his head towards the punch. The chicken head man stated that if he tucked his chin in, he could protect it and back his opponent's fist with his hard forehead. Haben followed his tips, thought it did not hurt, and wondered what he should do now. The robber got annoyed at him and asked if he liked getting hit and told him that he would beat him until he knocked him out. Samdak, the chicken headman, stated that if he were not a professional fighter, it would be impossible to see all the punches coming at him, and he thought that he was too slow and the robber would hit him. However, Haben kept moving because the chicken headman stated that it would be hard for his opponent to hit a moving target if his opponent were also an amateur. The robber again defended himself by moving his body. After that, Haben wondered if he had dodged it using the weaving method. He recalled that the chicken head man had stated that it would be sloppy but would get the benefits of weaving, so he had an amateur trying to hit their opponent's fist with their head versus an amateur trying to hit their opponent's head with their fist. The chicken head man asked what would happen if these two amateurs fought. As he tried his hardest to swing a punch with his head, it would look like he was a boxer who was waving away from his opponent just by thinking that he was using his head to hit his opponent instead of getting heat in the end. He would not be scared of getting punched anymore. Then he would either dodge the punches or even if he got hit, it would not hurt. The chicken head man said it no longer hurt when he got punched, so if he was still scared of fighting. However, Snapper and the robber's girl are shocked when Haben dodges his punch, and the robber becomes furious. Haben dodged his attack and asked him for his mobile because he needed to text Bomi. Haben was shouting angrily, and his viewers were sporting him and commenting that he was no longer a loser. The robber locked it home and thought about who Bomi he kept talking about. When the Snapper saw Haben fighting back with the robber, he appreciated him by saying it was incredible. The people also commented in the comment section that it was incredible to see Haben fighting like that. Snapper looked at him and thought he was amazed because Haben was facing a scary-looking dude, and all he was doing was standing there getting himself beat. Snapper was filming both fighting, and the scary-looking boy looked at him and wondered why Haben was not doing anything besides getting hit. The people were also wondering why he was moving around so much before getting hit, and Young replied in the comment section that he was still getting hit regardless. Ties said it did not matter how he got hurt, it still hurts. However, while fighting with the robber, Haben said he felt like a dumb boy because it was a dumb move. He thought he should have watched more of his videos because he only watched about getting hit without getting hurt. Moreover, he did not know any other techniques, so he started crying at the end of the fight. The girl with the robber looked at the camera and said it was what it looked like to film a live stream. Snapper looked at her and asked if it was not cool and if she wanted to try filming. She replied that it was cool and that it was his first time seeing it in action. After a while, the Snapper got tired of the fight and thought that that fight was a disaster, and it was too sloppy. He looked at the comments about people getting bored of this fight, and Chang commented that one guy was getting tired of hitting the other guy, and the other guy was getting tired of getting hit. Another said that he was leaving because it was too boring. Snapper said that they were in trouble now because the number of viewers was dropping, and the problem with the fight with Pakgo was that it was too short. But the problem was that it was taking too long. He thought for a while that he should quit while the going was good and end the stream before they lost subscribers for good. Suddenly, Ding commented that the winner of the fight was V-Hit. Snapper looked at his name and thought that if that was the guy who acted like he knew who Munseong was on the last stream, he thought that he seemed like he knew a thing or two about martial arts. Moreover, he thought that anyone could see that Haben had lost because he was getting kicked in that fight. Ding again commented that god dang it, and kids in those days had no respect for their elders and asked others to look closely. He asked others to look at the robber's fist because of the adrenaline, and he had no idea what was happening to his fist. The robber also wondered what had happened to his fist. Ding commented and told the robber that he could injure his knuckles just from hitting a punching bag. But that dummy because he was so pumped and he hit his opponent's skull too much even though it was a tough part of the body. So the pain would kick in after the initial adrenaline rush started to fade, and now all he could do was roll around on the floor in pain. After reading all the comments, the Snapper wondered if it meant that Haben was the winner of that fight, and he tried to film Haben, but unfortunately, one of his eyes was swollen badly. Snapper looked at him and thought his hospital bill would exceed his earned. On the other hand, Haben was laughing and told him that he got his phone back and would text her now. Snapper thought it was alright, and he might have gotten smacked around with it, but he also gained fans. Meanwhile, Haben asked how he started a conversation with the girl over text and asked if she was sleeping. The people got annoyed at him and asked Snapper to stop filming and stop him. Snapper thought he uploaded the new video, and they racked up 1 million views in a week. They had 4 videos on their channel, and they had a total of 25,770,000 views, and their total income was 20,350,803 They both were over the moon to receive 20 million won, and Snapper said they finally got paid for the first time. Haben asked if they were getting paid 1 won per view and should not be getting more money. Snapper explained that if they approved their account quicker, they could have added ads earlier, and now they should just be satisfied with what they got this time. Haben said that he was surprised they did not get 1 won per view and that the video ads earned him money. Snapper asked how often he had to tell him it was not 1 per view. Although it ended up being around the same ballpark, it was not completely wrong since it was about 1 win per view if they looked at it in Korean money. Snapper added that it was difficult to say how earnings were calculated on YouTube. Haben responded that they just needed to upload videos like the one they had been creating so far, as well as provocative and violent videos. Snapper replied that they got lucky because they were not slapped with the yellow warning sticker. Haben asked about the warning sticker, and Snapper told him it was part of the YouTube's censorship system. If they slapped the warning sticker on a video, he could no longer make money with it, and for YouTubers, it was like the bogeyman. Snapper stated that he could not monetize his video if the content were judged to be too sexualized and violent or featured too much profanity or that kind of thing. And it was kind of like the red sticker on that magazine that wanted him to say that it was not safe for work. Haben thought for a while about being too sexualized and said that he got it. Snapper showed him a vulgar sticker, and Haben told him he got his point. On the other side, Rumi started a live stream and said that today's live stream would be extra hot. Then she smiled and told her viewers she was discussing the weather. She asked her viewers what they were thinking about, and the viewers commented that no one thought she was talking about anything else. Another asked why she was being a beauty YouTuber doing a mukbang video. Mull asked why she had ketchup on her shirt, and Gang replied that she had smeared it on herself earlier. Rumi looked at herself in a glass window and said she did not. She intentionally smeared it on herself and asked them where the stain was on his mouth or somewhere else. Suddenly, Robin saw Rumi live streaming and wondered if she was live streaming right now and why he felt so uneasy. As soon as Rumi saw Haben and Snapper, she tried to film them and ran towards them. They both ran away to see her, and the Snapper told Haben she was coming to steal their subscribers. The sun was about to set, and they stopped running elsewhere. Haben asked Snapper if they lost her, and Snapper commented that she was a snake and how dare she try to steal their subscriber. He looked at Haben and asked him what he was staring at when standing in front of a dummy wearing a tracksuit. Haben looked at the dummy and thought it looked so nice, and he wondered how much it was. Snapper said it was probably expensive even though it was just a tracksuit and maybe between 300,000 and 400,000 won. Haben responded that he deserved it since he made some money and saw that its price was 1,480,000 won. He was shocked and said that an outfit like that could cost 1.4 million won and that he could buy 100 of those for the same price if he went to the flea market. Haben looked at Snapdeal and thought that 1.4 million was what he paid Snapper this month, so he asked him to go. On the contrary, Snapper went to the counter, paid the bill, and said he did not need to finance it. Haben was shocked and thought it was his monthly wage. He wondered if he had paid 1.4 million in one go, and if it burned a hole in his pocket. Snapper turned back and asked Haben if he was not getting anything. He told him that he should buy some basic items for his wardrobe. Haben was surprised that Snapper still asked the lady storekeeper to show something else. Haben said that people like him consider those kinds of clothes wardrobe basic, and he had no idea until now he might have made 20 million won, but he could not spend it as freely as someone who was used to spending money. He smiled and told Snapper he was good and did not need to buy anything. Suddenly, his mobile rang, and Haben looked at it and thought about who could text it. He said he could not think of anyone. He was shocked to see his mobile and to receive a message from someone. After some time, Haben reached a new place and thought that he must be so out of his mind that he bought the 1.4 million won tracksuit. Two boys who were passing by Haben commented to him. One said it was nice zucchini, and the other said it was fake. Moreover, the boy said there was no way a high schooler could buy a real thing and allow a loser not to wear a real thing. Haben thought he had to buy it, which was a good choice. He has not taken the price tag off yet because he might need to refund it. However, Haben wondered why she asked to meet him somewhere like that, and there were only couples around him everywhere he looked. Haben said that he felt nervous and might start a live stream to distract himself. Then he started a live stream and told his viewers he thought he would put on a live stream today because he missed all his viewers. As soon as Haben started the live stream, other people on the road were attracted to him and started commenting on him. Haben became happy when people started recognizing him, and suddenly, his mood was spoiled because someone told others that he was the guy who made money by calling out other people. The other boy laughed and asked if he was that guy. The boy with the red shirt told others that he was the guy who had cancelled the order by calling him out. They asked the boy if he meant that when he called out his classmate because he was blinded by greed. The boy asked others to look at Hobin's designer clothes and told them that he heard that he would do anything for money. Hobin said those people talked bad about him even though they knew nothing, so it was not all sunshine and rainbows when someone became famous. He became sad, and people started commenting in his favor by saying that it was dangerous to go outside. Another commented that it made him sick to see them insult Hobin even though they knew nothing. Hobin thanked his subscribers and said that he could always count on them. When Hobin was live streaming, a girl came close and told him she was a big fan. She watched all his videos and asked him if she could get a photo of him. Hobin was shocked that the girl was asking for a photo with him. At the same time, Jiwon appeared there, and Hobin saw that the girl was asking for a photo with Jiwon. Jiwon smiled and replied that she could take a photo with him. The girl complimented him by saying that he was so hot in real life and thanked him for the photo. Hobin turned back and looked at Jiwon. He wondered if that girl was not talking to him and if that guy was a YouTuber. It was male streamer YouTuber Jiwon, with 70,000 subscribers, who said it looked like a sudden increase in guys. People started commenting that he was too good looking and weak of an opponent. Jiwon started taking photos with his fangirls and told the girl he was there to shoot a video about finding a girlfriend. However, Hobin became sad to see all that, and his subscribers kept encouraging him by commenting that it was his bad day and that at least he had his views with him. Suddenly, Jiwon saw a beautiful girl there and stepped towards her. He told the girl that he was a new tuber called Jiwon, and she was gorgeous. He asked her if she could spare a few minutes to be in his video. The people started commenting that Jiwon's voice was like honey and asked him to show the face of the girl whom he was talking to. The girl apologized and told him that she was meeting someone there, and she was afraid. Jiwon said she must be waiting for her boyfriend and asking about him. It was Bomi who smiled and introduced Hobin as her boyfriend. She apologized to Hobin and said finding him took her a while. Hobin was shocked at her statement, and she told him that they were wearing matching clothes like a couple. However, Hobin was surprised and started blushing, and his subscribers were also shocked to see Bomi as his girlfriend. Hobin looked at Bomi and thought he had always been jealous of the popular kid, who was shy and scrawny. Hobin said that he was not good at sports, his grades were average, and it was not like he was rich, so he was embarrassed and ashamed of himself. He wished he was at least good at fighting like Pakgo was, if nothing else, who was used to abusing and punishing him for no reason. He thought that inside that school was like a jungle where the strong prey on the weak because he was always getting punished by the stronger Pakgo, who asked him to keep his head lowered until the next class started. Hobin said that it was natural that the weaker animal had to surrender to the stronger one, and that applied to Pakgo when Munseong punished Pakgo for using abusive language. Hobin again said that it was natural that the weaker animal had to surrender to the stronger one, and he was jealous of Munseong because he was the strongest. Hobin thought that he was no longer jealous because he had Bomi next to him, and he did not need to be popular and good at fighting because he wished he could live in that moment forever. Bomi smiled to see him, asked what he was thinking, and brushed her hand with Hobin's hand. Bomi apologized to him for brushing his hand, and Hobin started dreaming of a house and family for her. Hobin dreamed of a house where he entered and said he was tired because today was such a stressful day. Assistant manager Lee was acting up today, so he chewed him out. He dreamed of a house where Bomi nicely welcomed him, and he brought a bouquet for her. He presented those flowers to Bomi and told her he had seen them on his way home and had thought of her. Bomi held the bouquet in her hand and said that one of the bouquets had no flowers inside. Hobin replied that he had a prettier flower at home, so he did not think it was necessary. Bomi was impressed and said that it was cute, and suddenly, their two children, a girl and a boy, clung to Hobin. Hobin hugged the children and said they were his precious little sons, number 1 and daughter, number 1. He asked the little girl what she did today, and the little girl smiled and asked him to wake up. Suddenly, Hobin came to reality when Bomi asked him if he did not like cafes. Hobin got confused and thought he had not said anything for a while. After some time, they both reached a cafe, and Haben told her that he loved cafes and that he was the silent type. He thought he could not believe he zoned out just because they brushed hands. Bomi pouted and said that she got his point. Haben looked at her and wondered if she was upset, and if he had said something wrong, and he supposed he was probably boring her. Suddenly, people started commenting on them, saying that they had matching outfits and that those clothes looked so nice. A couple saw Haben and Bomi, and the girl asked her boyfriend if they should also get a matching pair. The boy replied that he thought it was embarrassing for girls to walk around with a shorter guy, and asked her if she did not think that Bomi was way out of that guy's league. The girl laughed and told the boy that they could hear him. The guy replied that it was okay and that they could not hear them. Haben became sad and thought he could hear both of them, but he knew that would happen. He looked at Bomi and thought that he was sure Bomi was embarrassed to walk around with him. He then took off his tracksuit shirt. Haben said they were not wearing matching clothes and did not know what they discussed. Bomi looked at him and told him that it was a nice cafe and that she had wanted to go there for a while. She told Haben that she had seen tons of Instagram, but it was her first time coming there, and he decided not to go alone because she wanted to go with someone special. Haben took a sip of his coffee and said he was unsure. After drinking their coffee, Bomi asked him what he wanted to do. Haben replied that they could head back if there were nothing to do. Bomi continued the conversation, asked him if he had any hobbies, and asked him to tell her about what he was into. Haben became confused and told her that he did not have any hobbies and did not like doing much. Bomi asked him where he usually went when free, and Haben replied that he did not like going outside. Suddenly, Bomi said they should go now, and Haben stated that they did not have any of the desert yet. Bomi told him that she wanted to hang out with him because she thought it would be fun, but he was good at replying to her text and barely said anything to her that day. Bomi apologized to him and said that she wasted his time today. When Bomi was about to leave the cafe, Haben suddenly asked if she was embarrassed to be with him. Bomi turned back and looked at him when Haben told him that it was the first time he had hung out with a girl once on, and actually, it was the first time he had talked with a girl like that, and it was his first time coming to a nice cafe like that. He told Bomi that his hobby was watching YouTube videos at home, but he could not tell her because he was embarrassed and did not really go out because he did not have any friends. Haben said he wanted to eat with her, but was sorry that he thought he could not swallow his food properly if he ate with her face to face because she looked pretty from the front and then from her side. Bomi was shocked and asked him what he was saying and why he was sweating so much. Haben told her that he stayed there because that side was hotter, and he did not want her to get hot, and he was sorry for worrying about that without asking her opinion. Bomi looked at home and smiled, and they both came outside the cafe. They were both walking on the footpath when Bomi got a phone call and told him she was with a guy, too. Haben looked at her and thought that listening to her while she was on the phone made him sound like he was her boyfriend. Bomi apologized for the call and told him that it was someone she knew from elementary school and that it had been long since they talked. Haben asked her if it was his classmate from elementary school. Bomi happily told him that they were friends when they were in elementary school, but they lost contact. They happened to get in touch, and he was nearby. Haben said that her friend must love the desert since it was mostly desert. Bomi replied that his friend was in this neighborhood to eat strawberry shaved ice. Haben wondered why she wanted to eat that and why she could get a couple of bowls of rice and soup with that same amount of money. Bomi told him she remembered that his friend had gone to his school. Haben asked about the name of his friend and was shocked when Bomi asked him if he knew Munseong. Haben thought that he was Korea's MMA rising star and the guy at the top of the food chain at school, and he was the guy whom he did not even dare to talk to at school was Bomi's friend. Bomi said that maybe he did not know him, and Haben again daydreamed when he entered the home and said that today was such a stressful day and assistant manager Lee was acting up today, so he chewed him out. He suddenly heard a voice and saw that it was Munseong, and Bomi was welcoming him home nicely. Suddenly, Bomi saw him and asked Munseong about him. Munseong replied that he must be some loser daydreaming about living happily ever after with someone popular. The little girl smiled and asked Haben if she did not tell him to wake up. Haben said that he felt like there was suddenly a huge barrier between Bomi and him when she asked about Munseong. Haben said he wanted to break down that barrier, but he did not know why he had lied when he told Bomi that he knew Munseong. He said that out of everyone else in the world, Bomi was the one person he did not want to know, and he was an outcast, so he told her he was friends with Munseong. However, he regretted his lie immediately because Munseong had reached there. On the other hand, Bomi was happy to know he was friends with Munseong and asked him what he was doing there. Bomi told Munseong that she had heard he was friends with Haben, and Haben wondered if he was wearing the same thing. Munseong looked at Haben and asked if he was friends with him. Bomi came close to Munseong. They were both looking at Haben, standing right before them. Haben thought about what he should do now because he said it confidently and did not just say he knew him. He made it sound like they were close. Haben apologized to Bomi in his mind because they were not friends. Haben closed his eyes, bowed his head, and thought that he was sure Bomi did not know. But there was an unspoken rule that the losers were aware of. They could not act like they were friends with someone unless it was for certain. But he broke that rule and said he was friends with Munseong because he wanted her to think that he was popular. Bomi tilted and looked at Haben. Then he asked Munseong what they two were doing and said that she thought they were close. Meanwhile, Haben thought that he would have to pay a heavy price as punishment for breaking that unspoken rule, but he loved Bomi Choi. Munseong scratched his head and stated they were in the same class and were friends. Haben was shocked to hear that and wondered what he was talking about because they were not friends. Munseong got close to Haben and asked if he was Hobbit, and Haben told him his name and thought he did not even know his name. Munseong said if he was the guy who made new tube videos, and Haben thought that he had no idea how much he freaked out after saying he was friends with him. But he could say they were friends that easily and the power to decide the fate of their relationship was with him. Haben laughed and said the saddest thing was that Munseong telling him they were friends made him happy. Bomi interrupted and told them that she had just noticed they were wearing the same jacket, and Haben told Munseong that he was the guy who had made videos. Haben thought that Munseong did not have to think too hard about it, and he thought he was the one who overthought things. The sun started to set in, and Haben thought about which pair in that group would go well together. Haben said that even an elementary school kid could figure that out, and he knew the answer, too, that he was the odd one out. He stopped behind, and they both turned back to see him. Haben laughed and told them he would head home first because of his ingrown toenail. Haben thought he could not be with those two anymore because he felt inferior and had to lie. Out of all the excuses in the world, he said he had an ingrown toenail that he did not even have. Bomi became sad and said that she wished he had stayed. At the same time, a light sparkled inside a building, and Snapper was filming them. He got annoyed at Haben and thought about what he was doing. People were also making fun of Haben for making such a flimsy excuse. As Haben passed him, Snapper shouted to see him and grabbed him from behind. Haben also got scared to see him, shouted and asked him what he was doing there. Snapper put his hand on Haben's mouth and told him they would hear him. He told Haben he had seen him while walking and asked about the ingrown toenail. Snapper asked him why he would leave after saying he had an ingrown toenail when things were going well. Haben hit him with his head and asked what he wanted him to do and told him that he was basically like an ingrown toenail next to two perfectly formed toenails. So, when he was with them, he did not belong with Bomi and asked him if he thought that he was that oblivious. Snapper replied that romance was like a competition, and it is a competition where lots of guys try to win over a girl, so even if he had to face a mighty opponent, he could not give up. Haben made a pout of his face and responded that if he did not try, then at least he would not be defeated. Snapper became furious, grabbed him by the collar, and asked him to listen carefully. He told Haben that there was once a world-famous basketball coach, and this was what he told a player who wanted to give up. He said if he gave up, he would surely lose the match, and asked him if that was the time to give up. He asked the Hobbit who was the one who took him out on a date, and who the one who bought the coffee, so if she was not interested, if he thought that she would have spent a single penny on him. When he left, it was evident that she did not want to say goodbye. Haben had tears and started sniffing when Snapper asked him if he would give up when he was closer to winning than any other player. Haben sniffed and thought that Snapper was right, and he had to tell Bomi how he felt. He hugged Snapper and thanked him for his help, and Snapper said there was no need to thank him because they were friends. He wished Haben good luck and asked him to go and let her know how he felt. Haben said that he would be back and asked him to get ready for him to ask him out. Snapper looked at home and said that it was what they needed to make the live stream interesting. He held his camera and stated that ladies and gentlemen, one asked out a girl he was friends with but got rejected. He said live stream was back now, and people were commenting badly about him, calling him a devil and a bad friend. The Snapper held his camera, ran when he saw someone on the road and stopped there immediately. Conversely, Bomi asked Haben if his ingrown toenail was okay. Haben replied that he overcame it because she was more important to him. Munseong interrupted and told Haben that he had mixed up his words and should get rid of the ingrown nails because he was good at pulling them out. Haben looked at him and requested him not to say things like that because it was terrifying. Munseong stood up and told Bomi that he was going to go now. However, Haben got scared of him when he stood up like that, and Bomi wished him good luck in his match. Bomi smiled and told Haben that Munseong had a match next week, so he was busy and did not even have time to eat dessert. Haben looked at Bomi and thought that he had seen that those two were on a date, and he had no idea they were just friends, so he ran away simply because he felt inferior. Haben said bye to Munseong when he turned back and told Haben that he was a good fighter. He told Haben that the saga videos on his new YouTube channel viral hit and Haben wondered if he watched his videos. Munseong told him that he reduced the damage he took on by leaning in before he could land the punch and did not do the next move on purpose. Haben thought he had copied that move from that video, but was unaware of the next move. Munseong told him that he liked watching his videos and left the place. Haben looked at his back and wondered if he should be the only one who knew the next move. After a while, Haben and Bomi were sitting on a bench when Bomi asked him what he wanted to tell her because he said he came back to say something. Haben tried to convey his feelings but could not succeed and started shaking. Bomi looked at him and said he would wear out his knee. Haben held his knees and asked her what kind of guys she was into. Bomi replied that she was interested in someone honest and asked what kind of girls he liked. Haben was shocked at her answer, clenched his fist, and thought he would tell her honestly that she wanted her and was his ideal type. Haben did not answer her correctly when he saw Snapper near the bench and picked him up from his hair. Haben said he knew he was filming them and was shocked to see his face. Haben saw that Snapper was severely tortured, and his face was all swell. Suddenly, someone appeared, hit Snapper, and thanked him for broadcasting his location. It was Paco who reached there by following their live stream. Paco looked at Haben and said that he had mentioned that he would make him pay. Bomi became furious and asked them what they were doing. Haben stood up and asked Bomi to go home. Paco said she was not going anywhere because she pretended she was not interested in guys when he asked her for her number, but it looked like she was lying. Haben looked at Paco and thought he could not lose his cool first and had to take control of his emotions. Haben called Paco bald and asked him if he was there to get beaten up again. Haben asked Paco if he still had not learned his lesson, and he was all doing it on purpose because he had to keep his emotions under control and make his opponent lose his school. Paco became furious and pushed Bomi and asked her to sit aside. He punched Haben and told him that he was not bad because of hair loss, but he chose to shave it all off. Haben looked at him and said that he would use the technique that allowed him to get heat without getting hurt. He moved his head against Paco's fist. Paco punched him and asked if he thought he had not seen his videos. Haben recalled the lesson given by the chicken head man, that he was not foolish enough to continue using the technique for getting hit painlessly just because it worked once. However, Haben wobbled and thought that an uppercut quickly foiled this technique, and the chicken head said an uppercut could easily counter it. So his head spun because he got hit in the jaw. Meanwhile, Bomi moved forward to save him, and Haben thought about what he would do now because the way to get hit without getting hurt was the last video he watched, and he did not know what the next move that Munseong mentioned. He had no idea what to do now. Inside that, he felt like his mind had gone blank. Moreover, Haben stated that his house was situated below a bunch of high-rise buildings. and maybe that was why he was right at the bottom of the food chain at school. And that could be the reason that his sudden YouTube success looked like he had won the lottery. Haben said that he also got lucky when he discovered a secret YouTube channel that taught him how to fight, which helped him learn how to get hit painlessly and earn money. However, if someone was wondering if he was embarrassed that he became famous for his videos, it did not matter as long as he could earn money, because he could earn some cash and escape from poverty. Haben felt like he was finally able to live a normal life just like every other kid, and that's why he got complacent. He did not put in any effort, let alone try to learn how to fight, and so he was exposed to who he was. Suddenly, everything started rumbling, and rain started. Haben said that he had been turned back into the sorry loser that he was before starting his new tube channel, and he had always just accepted it when he got beaten up. After all, wounds would heal and disappear over time, but he did not think the scars were just how pathetic he was. Pakgo again tried to punch him and asked if he wanted him to let him go. Haben asked him to let Bomi go and thought that he did not want her to carry on saying how pathetic he was, and he wanted to get this over with, and he had to send Bomi home because he did not want her to know that he was weak. Pakgo grabbed him by his collar and asked him if he was sorry. Haben suddenly sat down and said that he was sorry. Pakgo looked at him and said that the apology did not feel genuine, and he thought that he had a bit more showmanship since he was a new tuber. He told Haben that he wanted him to take his pants off and apologize because there were thousands of people watching right now. Haben looked upward and saw that Snapper was standing in front of him, taking photos. Snapper was also sobbing, and he, being caught by two companions of Pakgo, was compelled to film Haben. The man with the red shirt said it was a great angle, and the other boy said he knew and could count on Snapper to get the perfect shot. Snapper was trembling and sobbing. He apologized to Haben and said he did not want to, but it hurt too much to say no. Pakgo told Haben that he would leave him alone if he took his pants off and created some books for his video. Haben looked at Bomi and said that the saddest thing about all that was not the fact that Snapper was the one filming him or that all of that had been caught on camera, but it was the fact that his crush had more courage than he did because she slapped Pakgo. Pakgo grabbed her by her collar and asked Snapper to turn the camera away because he did not want people coming after him. On the other hand, Haben took off his pants and said that he did not deserve to call himself a man after all, and he knew that he did not stand a chance of beating him in a fight, so he protected his crush by choosing the most pathetic way out. Haben told Pakgo that he drew in more views for his videos, so he should let go of Bomi. Pakgo laughed hard to see that and said that it was what he was talking about, and he could already hear tons of people hitting the subscribe button. However, Snapper was crying to see Haben in that condition, and Pakgo asked Haben to hand over all his subscribers to him and ordered him to leave NewTube. Bomi turned his face and closed her eyes because she could not see him in that pathetic state. Haben was about to take off his boxer when Pakgo refrained. Pakgo stated that if he showed his dick, his account would get banned permanently. Suddenly, Munseong appeared there, lifted Haben up, and told him he did not have to take them off. Haben looked at him and thought the last bit of pride had left. It turned out Munseong saw Pakgo's livestream and rushed over there. Munseong was strong enough to hit them all well, and he started beating them all individually. First of all, he beat two fellows of Pakgo who were holding Snapper and punched them. Munseong moved forward towards Pakgo, and he asked him to wait for a moment. However, Munseong punches Pakgo and makes him fall, then asks Haben if he is right. Haben looked at Munseong and thought he was strong, making him feel even more pathetic. Munseong got close to Bomi and asked her if she was okay. Bomi replied that she was fine but asked him to look at what they did to Haben. Munseong asked Bomi to go from there, and she said that they could not just leave Haben there. Munseong made her understand that the best thing she could do for him was leave him alone. They both left the place, and Bomi looked at Haben. She turned her face back and became sad. However, Haben was still sitting at the same place and said that the fight was finished, and so was he. In the end, he does not even feel angry at Snapper, and he is not even angry at Pakgo, but he is angry at himself. Haben questioned why he was so weak and had to live like this. He said that he wanted to tear himself to pieces from head to toe and started crying badly. The next day, Paco returned to his new tube family and started filming other videos. Paco looked at the comment section and asked to ban all the haters who disliked him. He said he only needed people who liked him. People commented that this was better than his fake act, and that he should have done this from the beginning. Paco told his viewers that he had even brought in a model for today and had worked hard on his makeup. He turned the camera towards the model and said that there he was. Beak asked in the comment section if that was Snapper. Snapper looked at the camera and wondered where Hobbin was, as he had not been to school in weeks. Paco asked Snapper to say hi to his viewers, and he started laughing. Snapper thought that he had to apologize to Hobbin. On the other hand, Bomi was also worried. She looked at her mobile and tried to call Hobbin, but his number was out of range. There were 15 missed calls from Bomi and 3 missed calls from Snapper on Hobbin's mobile phone. He looked at his mobile and said that he wanted to treat himself to pieces from top to bottom and recalled the message of the chicken head man that medicals did not happen to people who sit on their asses doing nothing. The chicken head man said that the fighting technique he would teach him was how to win a fight against an amateur fighter. That was why Hobbin shed the older man so he could become someone new. Hobbin clicked on the mouse, and the chicken head man asked what he thought about genuine motivation. He asked if it was the endless stream of motivational videos on YouTube or if it was a self-help book written by successful people. The chicken head man stated that it was wrong, and those were all fake sources of motivation because a person could not change just by reading glorified stories written by successful people. The true motivation came from within, and that motivation was above challenging one's anger at oneself. He said that one should use that anger as a trigger and that miracles do not happen to people who sit on their asses doing nothing. Hobbin was trying hard because the chicken head man asked him to push himself to his absolute limits with every fiber of his being, and he had to put in the work. The chicken head man said that the techniques he was about to teach him would take him a month to master. After 1 month, inside the classroom, Snapper congratulated Rumi on getting 100,000 subscribers. Rumi thanked him and told him he should treat her to a meal to celebrate. Snapper asked her if she should not be the one buying since it was her achievement. Rumi changed the topic and said that Hobbin did not come to school today either, and it had already been a whole month. Rumi added that although it was likely he was too ashamed to come to school, he got seriously humiliated by pulling his pants down in front of his crush. Snapper added that he got too big for his boots and tried to climb up the social ladder, but unfortunately, he could not overturn the law of the jungle. Snapper started laughing, and Rumi looked at him and said that she had a question. Rumi asked if he was not friends with him, and Snapper said what she was talking about. He asked Rumi why he would be friends with a loser like him, and if she was not looking for an editor for her channel. Moreover, Snapper said that he could help her since he had a lot of experience, and if she wanted to team up with him. Suddenly, Paco appeared there, put his hand on Snapper's shoulder, and asked him if he was not friends with Hobbin. Snapper looked at Paco and told him that they were just business partners, and that he was a dumbass. Moreover, he was glad that he hit him out, and in fact, he also wanted to leave him. Paco hit him and said that he had betrayed him. Then, he teamed up with Hobbin, and now he tossed him aside as soon as he was washed up. He told Snapper that he disgusted him even more than Hobbin because he was a snake. Snapper was lying on the ground and said that he should not have teamed up with Hobbin in the first place, and it was correct that he was a snake. However, the students gathered around Snapper and started talking about him. One of the students asked why he was like that, and the other replied that he had switched sides like crazy. Another said he was a snake and had just tried to latch onto Rumi. By hearing all that, Snapper clenched his fist and said that it was not his fault that he had to change sides in order to survive, and it was the only way he could be in the in-crowd since she could not study or fight for nothing. However, he still did not even have a single friend to help him up. Suddenly, Paco started a live stream and told his viewers that he had started his lunchtime live stream. Snapper said that people were sheep, and even though they dragged the hell out of him when he was being publicly criticized, as soon as enough time passed, they went back to jerking him off. He wondered why people spend money on something useless like that. But the thing that pissed him off more was that his disgusting new act made his channel super popular. Snapper saw that Paco was saying to his viewers that he was sure the dipshits with jobs were pissed off right now because he could make money by cursing, unlike them. Snapper stood up and looked at him when Paco was asking his subscribers to buy all the haters that disliked him, because he only needed the people who loved him, and thanked them for donating 100,000 one dipshit. His fellows lifted Paco and celebrated his 900,000 subscribers. On the other hand, Hobin's subscribers kept dwindling, which was to be expected since he had disappeared and had not uploaded any new videos. His subscribers were also worried about Paco and kept asking in the comment section why he had disappeared. Snapper said that people were waiting for a viral hit to return, but he would not be surprised if they stopped waiting, too. All of that was caused by the monster Paco, which apparently was not enough for him. On the other hand, Paco told his subscribers that he wanted 1 million subscribers and what he should do now. Paco asked Snapper if he knew where Hobin lived and told him he wanted to bring him there by tomorrow. Snapper looked at him and thought that now he wanted him to sell out his friend. Paco told him that if he got 1 million subscribers from having Hobin in his video, he would let him retake his videos. Snapper smiled and said that he would bring him there tomorrow and thought that he was going to sell his friend out because he was a snake. Snapper said he had never been friends with that guy and had to survive. Then he reached the hospital to meet Hobin's mother. Snapper knocked at the door, and Hobin's mother looked at him when he asked if she was Hobin's mom. Snapper came close to her and asked where Hobin was when his mother asked him if he was one of Hobin's friends. Snapper replied that it was unimportant and asked for her address because he had to take Hobin to school. Hobin's mom became worried and asked him if something had happened. Snapper replied that he just had to take him to school and requested her to give her address. He thought that he could not tell her the truth, which was that he needed Hobin to get beaten up in his place. So, he told Hobin's mother that all the houses in her neighborhood looked the same, so he could not remember where it was. Hobin's mom wrote the address on paper, passed it to Snapper, and stated that it seemed urgent so he could tell her what that was about later. Snapper held the paper in his hand and thought that he got it. He was no longer a dead man and would go to Hobin's house and take him to school. After some time, Snapper is sad and stands before Paco because he cannot take Hobin. Paco became furious and asked him if he knew how much money he had lost him. He told him that he was supposed to get 500,000 won if he succeeded in getting Hobin to school. Snapper told him he had gone to his house after getting his address, but would not come out no matter how hard he knocked. Moreover, Snapper said to him that he wanted to set fire to his house, but he stopped himself and asked him how to get him to come to school tomorrow. Paco slapped him and said that he promised his viewers that Hobin would be there today, which would not work. Paco became furious, grabbed Snapper's hair, asked him to tell Hobin to come to school on camera, and said he would not bring himself there otherwise. He ordered Snapper to say come to school right now, Hobin, and to say it if he wanted him to stop beating him up. Paco started the live stream and told Snapper that he would stop hitting him if he did it. Snapper looked at the camera and asked Hobin not to attend school. He told him that Paco would win 500,000 if he beat him. Snapper told Hobin that this selfish man might end up killing him if he came to school, and he was going to get beaten up like him if he arrived there, so he should stay home. Paco hit him again, and Snapper thought he could not betray him like that. He recalled when he went to the hospital to get Hobin's address when his mother asked him if he was in the same class as Hobin. Snapper looked at her and asked how she knew it. Hobin's mom told him that Hobin always talked about him and that he was the first friend he made at school. Moreover, he said it was always so lovely to have him as his friend and that he helped him out. Snapper thought about how he could sell him out when he considered a backstabbing traitor like him to be his friend. Snapper fell and said it was karma that no one was moving forward to help him. Meanwhile, Paco started a live stream and asked Hobin if he was watching. He said that this guy was thinking that he was his friend. Paco asked Hobin if he had seen what had happened, to hurry up and reach there because he would have won 500,000 won if he had taken his boxers off. Snapper started crying and asked Hobin not to come there and to stay home. He told Hobin not to dare to go to school. He should not have left his house if he had watched that video. Suddenly, Snapper turned back after hearing his voice from a mobile. He saw Hobin there. Pakgo was happy to see him there and said he finally came there. Pakgo said to Haben that he should have told him if he was planning a pleasant surprise like that. However, Snapper was shocked to see him when Haben tossed his mobile to him. He asked Haben why he was giving him his cell phone. Snapper looked at the mobile and thought that it was a live stream. Haben asked him what he was doing and told him he needed him to shoot to announce that the viral hit was back. Pakgo laughed and said what the dumbass was saying. Haben came close to Pakgo and said how to win a fight against an amateur fighter. However, Haben's subscribers were also happy to see him back.